Hi, my name is Jeannie Lauren Dowden for Conduit News. Well, Hunter Biden appeared in court Monday there in Batesville. He's pushing back against paying child support for his 4-year-old daughter. Joining us today is attorney Clint Lancaster. He is representing the mother, Lunden Roberts. Hi, Clint. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Jeannie Lauren, thank you for having me back on Conduit.
Absolutely. We always love having you join us here. I want to talk to you about Hunter Biden in court yesterday. Everyone's talking about it here in Arkansas. He rolled in with his high-powered legal team, very nice suit, entourage. This is the son of the president of the United States. And he's telling us that he's too poor to pay child support. How did that go yesterday? And what did the judge have to say about that?
Well, the judge was rightfully frustrated. We had a hearing back in, I think it was late February, maybe January, where everything was flowing smoothly. You know, it was the third or fourth request for a protective order by Mr. Biden. And the judge again granted it with saying, I expect full compliance and discovery. And that's not what we got. Mr. Biden had 2 months, 2 months to get his discovery out, and he couldn't do it. And then once we pushed him on it, they said, oh, well, we have it. We just don't want to give it to you because we don't like your expert witness. And then once that got resolved and they finally did provide it, it was still incomplete. So the judge ordered them to fully answer it. And in fairness, there were a few deficiencies in our interrogatories, but we only had 7 days to fix those. And we did. We fixed all but a few.
There, the judge, she's circuit judge, Holly Meyer, she said that the ability that the Biden team, she said the ability to redact information is potentially being abused. And she said that she's ready to see the documents.
Yes, well, she can see them, but she's ready for them to be unsealed. There's an administrative order from the Supreme Court, and our Supreme Court's been very clear that the public business of the court should be conducted openly, and you shouldn't be sealing or redacting documents except in very, very rare circumstances. And Judge Meyer has previously ordered that only what they call confidential financial information or information directly related to financial documents such as tax returns, bank records, things of that nature should be sealed. What the Biden legal team has tried to do for since almost the inception of the case is seal everything. They don't want anything talked about, period. And in fact, yesterday when I was in court and the judge had previously said that, I'm sealing pleadings, nothing in this courtroom is going to be sealed unless I order differently. And so I was mentioning as I was discussing the frustration that I'm having that, for example, in the 2021 tax return, right, this is what I said in court, there's a $9 million in a Bohai Chinese investment fund. And now there's some question about where that went. Well, Abby Lowell immediately jumped up and said, this is the problem, Judge. This is it. Here he is talking about confidential information again, and it requires us to respond. And the judge made it very clear to Mr. Lowell and Mr. Langdon that what's said in that courtroom is not going to be sealed. And so to that end, she said, look, I think you guys are abusing this. You're redacting things that shouldn't be redacted, and that's wrong.
Yeah. Do you think, I can't help but question whenever you're talking about those dealings and any potential offshore accounts, larger implications that this will have once these documents are unsealed. Do you think they really thought this through or what?
I'm not sure what their thoughts are. One of the things that they surely must account for. I mean, Mr. Biden is a Yale-educated lawyer. He's, as I said in one of my most recent pleadings, because we're asking Mr. Biden to tell us what he's paying all these attorneys that he's got.
Yeah.
Surely they must understand that a federal subpoena through the supremacy clause is going to trump a state court order. And if the House Congressional Oversight Committee sends us a subpoena, or the DOJ sends us another subpoena, I'm way too pretty to go to jail. I'm gonna hand over these documents in compliance with federal law. And surely they know that. They know that the judge sealing a deposition in state court is subject to being unsealed by a federal subpoena. So I do wonder about the prudence of their decision making, but all I can do is deal with the facts that I have.
Last week we were talking about this. The judge pointedly asked the Biden team about the laptop. And there was a little bit of walking back about the ownership, whether or not that was Hunter's laptop or not. Talk to us about that.
Well, so there was a Zoom hearing, I believe it was the 28th of April, and Mr. Langdon, Brent Langdon, for Hunter Biden had objected to Garrett Ziegler as our expert witness and made some really salacious allegations that I'm looking forward to being unsealed so that the people can see what they're saying and what was untrue about it. For example, Mr. Biden said that Ziegler gave a presentation to a group of extremists, and I'm using the word extremists.
Yeah.
Now, I think extremists of people like the neo-Nazis, Aryan Nation, Muslim Brotherhood, Black Panthers, something like that. This was Moms for Liberty. This is a group of conservatives. And these are extremists.
They are domestic terrorists for sure.
I digress on that one, but I'm not done with that one. But that'll be another day for I've got a lot of questions to ask about that. But regardless of that, the judge, Mr. Langdon, had said, well, this allegedly abandoned laptop that may or may not be his or something like that. And Judge Meyer said, well, let's clear that up right now. Is this your client's laptop? And Mr. Langdon was like, I don't get involved in those things, Your Honor. And she said, no, I hold the litigants to what their lawyers say. Is that his laptop or not? And Brent replied that he didn't know and couldn't confirm that. So she said, well, these are the problems that happen when people don't show up for court. So now your clients, both of them, we're going to order you to appear at every single hearing. And that started with yesterday's hearing on Monday.
You mentioned that he has a team of about 10 to 15 attorneys all across the country. Again, we saw his entourage there in Batesville. And he's saying, he can't have paid child support. Who's buying this? Is anyone buying this?
I don't know. It came out in the hearing yesterday that he traveled to Dublin, Ireland with his father on Air Force One and slept in a cot in his father's home. I don't believe that a 50-year-old child of the president is sleeping in dad's room in the corner. But I don't know. I'll tell you this, I'm not buying it. And I think what the judge made clear yesterday, and she said this, if you want to reduce your child support, you need to come to court with proof. And so that's where we're at. We're working on the proof section.
I know that you can't speculate too much, but what do you anticipate to find in these documents? Potentially his art sales, who's buying them, Biden family arrangements. What do you expect here?
I don't know what to expect. You could listen to everything the media says and come up with 10 million things to expect or 10 million things not to expect. Here's what I do know. I do know that Arkansas law broadly interprets income for child support purposes. Arkansas law says you can't voluntarily reduce your child support or your income to reduce your child support payments. Arkansas law says that this deferred income or these type of hidden, how I restructure things doesn't count. We're going to look at how you're living. So if you're getting money from companies, then that's income. If someone's paying for your house, that's income. If someone's paying less for your house than what it should be, that's income. We get to take the real amount. If your parents and this is not just for Mr. Biden, this is for anybody. If your parents, you work for your parents and they give you a company truck and a gas card, okay, that's income. So what I expect these documents to show is Mr. Biden's true income, not what he puts down on tax returns, because Arkansas law also says income for child support purposes may be different than income for tax purposes. So I'm looking for almost like the raw data. And I don't know, I really like to go into these things with an open mind, and I've never been one to sit down and make a conclusion and then go look for the evidence or the arguments to support it. I like to kind of see what I have and then apply the law to that. And I'm going to do it the same way. I've been in the House Oversight Committee has contacted me and asked me to provide documents. I told them I can't, not without a subpoena. And then, so have a bunch of other people. While the world may be very interested in this, I just need to know his true income. And I'm not going to take his word for what he says it is.
One thing that is annoying me, frustrates me a little bit, is how the mainstream media portrays this 4-year-old's mom, Lunden Roberts. A lot of times you see splashed in the lead or in the first few sentences, it says, stripper mom, or, they just, baby mama of, Hunter Biden. And so they say all of these things about her. And that ticks me off. I don't like it. It doesn't matter what the circumstances were when this child was conceived. There's a 4-year-old little girl here now. You don't see CNN or Fox News. They use the same verbiage, say, cokehead son of President Joe Biden, appeared in court today. Is there a double standard? And what do you think about this?
Well, first off, let me say that I used to come to Ms. Roberts' defense on this issue, and she made it very clear that she will come to her own defense when she's ready, and she'll tell her story when she's ready. So to that end, I agree with you. I think it is despicable that if she was a stripper, wasn't a stripper, it has nothing to do with the fact that she's an excellent mom to this 4-year-old girl that she's raising alone, who doesn't have a father, and who, someday is going to see her grandfather from the Oval Office or the White House talking about his 6 grandkids. And I think, as somebody commented recently, even the dog gets a stocking at Christmas time. So, that it has nothing to do with the circumstances surrounding it. I think everybody in the world, especially in the United States at least, has made decisions they regret at some point. And so regardless of whether you regret them, they're true, they're not true, they have nothing to do with her ability to parent this child, which is it's readily apparent when you're around her or the kid that she's a great mother, and her parents are great grandparents. Her sister's a great aunt. She's got a good support system.
That's good. Someone commented recently about this case, and they said, for the party that is all about women, women's rights, supporting women, they are so silent on this, especially when you have the president's son being such a deadbeat dad.
Well, Mr. Lowell took the opportunity yesterday, the DC power lawyer who represented Bill Clinton in the Oval Office intern scandal, and a number of other just high-profile issues. Well, he wanted to make sure it's clear, and he mentioned the amounts that Hunter Biden had paid, and I guess that somehow makes him not a deadbeat. But when I feel differently about that. And it's funny, I did see a meme this morning on Twitter where it says Joe Biden says something like, "There's no such thing as nobody's child," and then below that's a picture of the child in this case, and Joe saying, "Except that child." So I find it to be an interesting double standard. Yeah, I think it's an interesting double standard.
It absolutely is. Okay, fast forward us, catch us up. What's going to happen next? I know that there will be some depositions happening in the next few weeks.
Sure. So currently at the moment, I am I'm not in court today, so I'm working on the order from yesterday. The judge had tasked me with drafting it, so I'm making sure I'm very, very thorough on that. The next thing that we'll do is the judge wanted me to clean up some interrogatories and get some cleaned up answers out. And then, yes, we are waiting on the last information to come in on May 12th from Mr. Biden's legal team, at which point we're going to get to our expert, and he's going to then formulate an opinion. And then we are going to determine whether or not to continue using him as our expert in this case based on his opinion. And so that's kind of the next step. That opinion and deposition of Garrett Ziegler is going to happen on May 22nd. There is a hearing on May 23rd, and that hearing is going to be back in person in Batesville, unless this case settles before then, which I don't think it will right now. So then at May 23rd, the judge is going to take up some pending motions, including our motion to have Hunter disclose how much has been paid to these, what I call this stable of super lawyers across the United States.
Yeah. Well, we will definitely be watching this. So interesting to follow. Anything else that you want to add that we haven't talked about?
We've talked about a lot, and I think that's kind of covered and got things up to speed. We're very grateful for Judge Meyer and just her directness, her impartiality. And she was very right. Putting this hearing on the docket yesterday kicked the case into a different gear. And so that's I'm like the judge, we want to litigate this and go on with our lives. We don't want to drag it out forever. but I don't have control over that. I'm just going to litigate it as I get it.
Thank you so much, Clint. Keep us posted, okay?
Yes, ma'am, I will do. And thank you again.